Welcome back to another episode of the Big Apple School podcast, where the goal of this show is to help you improve your English through listening. My name is Benjamin, I'm from London, and today I have 3 guests. Our first guest today is
Natalie.
Second guest,
Varya.
and last but not least,
Ugur.
So, we're going to be talking about creativity today. So, are we creative people?
I guess,
We are teachers,
Yeah, I think all teachers are kind of creative. Yeah, because you have to come up with lesson plans. You have to do something fun for the students. So if you don't, it's just boring.
Yeah, I
Yes.
guess you kind of have to some extent be creative, yeah. Well, what other professions would you say have to be creative?
Musicians,
Musicians, absolutely.
artists in
Painters,
general.
yeah, just,
the
yeah.
painters.
And
Yeah.
architects.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, architects are particularly interesting because they have to mix their
Mathematical thinking.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
problem solvers have to be creative,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You have to think of some way
Negotiators,
of solving the problem.
Yeah, negotiators, yeah. Yeah, definitely. If you have a international conflict, you definitely need to think of
Plastic
ways.
surgeons, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Plastic surgeons, they
Think
need to be
so?
creative. Yeah, if someone asks something new to their faces, so they need to imagine the new way to
Yeah.
just
Yeah, they
Oh.
even call themselves artists.
artists.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
You're right. Cool.
Plastic artists.
Plastic
Oh,
artists.
tattoo artists, actually.
What is it?
Tattoo artists.
Tattoo
Yes.
artists.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're creative.
And just living life, right? We have to somehow survive.
Ooh, that's deep.
Yeah. Well, what are the pros of being a creative person? And what are the cons of being a creative person?
You have more, you know that you can get something done. If you are a creative person, you have confidence that you can find the way to do it.
You can actually make something that will stay, for years. But yeah, the cons though, I think, judging by myself as a creative person, I don't know, sometimes it's too much pressure, you understand that you have so much to do, and you have to do it somehow. Like, for example, I paint a little bit.
Oh,
and
cool.
if I don't paint for, like a week or something, I feel, frustrated with myself. I feel kind of disappointed.
You feel kind of guilt, right?
Yes, exactly.
I'm not
So-
using my
Yeah,
talent.
exactly.
And
Well, tell us
Oh,
more
it's
about.
not talent. It's not talent. I just
Tell us more about your painting. Do you use acrylics, oils,
watercolors. Yeah. So and I just started when I was living in Scotland because I had nothing to do, and I've always wanted to start painting. It's been always interesting to me, and at first it was so awkward. It was so bad, like really, really bad. But then I had a lot of progress. Now it's okay.
So what kind of things do you paint?
Mainly architecture, actually. Yeah.
cool, technical drawing kind of.
Yeah, something like that. But also, with a hint. Like, so bright colors, more like sketches, I would say. Yeah, but it looks kind of cute to me, So I don't really show it to anybody. So it's just mainly for myself. And
So after you
family.
die, we can collect your things and put them in a museum.
It will be, I don't know. It
It's gonna
won't
be like
worth
Van
anything.
Gogh, like
Yeah.
It's not as good. It's really, really bad, actually, I would say.
But that's
Not
the thing.
bad,
I
it's
mean,
okay.
So when we're creative, we might have some kind of standard for ourselves, and we have to self-examine: is this good or is this bad? I always tend to think that if I have to do something, it's going to be good, so do it, because I feel like I am successful under my own standards. Maybe someone else won't like it. So I'm hoping that when you paint, you're fulfilled and you do feel good about what you're doing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because
So you can't say it's not good.
yeah, it's always been, like my brother is really creative. He's always been, a good painter. He wrote creative texts, stuff like that. But when I was a child, I was like kind of in his shadow, or something like that. Like, okay, he can do things I can't. So yeah, but then I started doing it and it was like actually good. And my family was like, wow, you can do this. And I was like, yeah, I can do it. Wow. So yeah.
That kind of reminds me of something where some people think that maybe all dancers or all ballet or dance teachers can choreograph and can make up dances. And that was the worst part. I hated having to make up dances. They turned out okay, but it's nothing I want to do. So it has to be someone who wants to do it.
Can you tell us more about your
Yeah,
Actually,
ballet
it's so
experience.
career,
Because as an
yeah.
instructor, do you teach people to follow a certain pattern, or do you teach people to choreograph?
Yeah, in class, you have a certain structure of class that you must do. If you're teaching a ballet class, there's a structure. But at the end of the year, there's a recital. And so at the half mark, you have to start working on your dances. And so sometimes the director will give you music that you must use to be confined to the theme, or you could use your own. And so if you have really good music, that's beautiful, that's inspirational, maybe you could think of something. But I had my limits. I could make some up good dances and then kind of repeat the same steps the next year for something else. I just didn't like doing it.
Well, I guess correct me if I'm wrong, I guess it's kind of similar to learning a musical instrument where you have to learn how to play or is it different?
I think so. I think first you have to have the desire to want to choreograph, and then maybe, go to choreography school or get some pointers or something. But you have to want to, and I don't want to.
But I guess you can only get into choreography after you have a foundation of...
I would think so, but modern dance, maybe you could say it's founded no, you can't really say it's founded on ballet because they really threw ballet out. So it's more freedom of doing what you want to do. That's what a creative dance is. There's music and you flail your arms around and you're creating something. So it's, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, because it has a certain flair to it that.
But there are different kinds of dances, different kinds of choreography.
Mm-hmm. So, what about you? Have you indulged in any creative endeavors?
I guess I can say I was playing drums when I was in high school and university, and if I have a chance to do it, I can do it right now too. But I need to practice a little bit.
Oh.
So creating a musical piece is kind of a creative process.
It is.
So you need to manipulate the sound or manipulate the structure of the music that you are hearing and working with your bandmates. So it's kind of a...
So you worked with bandmates? You had a band?
When I was
that's
in
so
high
nice.
school. Yeah. So
And are these drums like snare drums with the drum stick, or just by your hands? Or
no,
can
with
you-
the drumstick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all the...
And you actually compose music, or you just play?
No, just the cover songs and everything, but in our own way of interpretation, in a way.
Yeah,
So
that
it's
is a form of creativity.
Yeah, of
So you
course,
rendering in a
definitely.
way, just different notes, or
That's
changing
nice.
the scale of the music in a way. So
Did you guys have a name for your band, or did you have several names? Or because that's creating the name for a band takes.
it's kind of
a lot of time.
it's kind of a problem. It was a kind of problem. Everyone just said something. All right, I want this name. So we didn't come up with a name that fits into our band. So we didn't have a name. We were working like a session band on the studio. So we were just getting there. All right, jam for an hour. Then all right, let's focus on the specific artist, specific catalog, and try to just play on it in a way. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a...
I think that's something called like a generic band, right?
In a
to
way,
fit into, conform to whatever.
like a jamming band or jamming session. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I've always been fascinated by how all these musical bands have their own special names. And
Yeah, that's kind of difficult to just come up with a name that strikes everyone at the same level in a way. I don't know.
I danced with a rock band
Whoa.
one
Oh, really?
time. Yeah, it was in
How?
LA. And what the bands do, these little upcoming bands will go and take a tour around. They'd go to all the hot spots like the Troubadour and the Rainbow Club and Madame Wong's, the whole tour of it. And so I toured just in LA with this little band, and we had, choreography, and it was kind of fun.
Oh, wow.
It was
So-
in the 80s, so I had hair that stuck up like this with a spritzer and then long, bright red.
Wow.
80s hair.
Yeah,
imagine it.
yeah.
Wait, so
What
it was
about
like,
you?
Oh yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
So I love creating things. I've been through several phases of different things. A few years ago, I went for a phase of working with leather. So making leather bags, leather accessories and stuff like that. Really fun habit. It got a little bit expensive, but it was really fun.
Fun.
Yeah, because I love riding bicycles and I had a a group of friends who also love bikes, and we made bicycle bags. And I tried to sell a couple unsuccessfully, but it was still a fun endeavor.
Yeah, that's the business part that you didn't want to do.
Exactly. And then I made some wallets, cases. I mean, leather is such a cool material. I love the smell of it and the texture of it. It's great. So I did that for about, I think, a year and a half, maybe 2 years. It was a fun thing to do. Also, I've painted a lot as well. So
Oh,
we've had that
What
in
did you
common.
use? Like,
I used oils, so oil paint. So I did that for a few years.
It takes a lot of time to dry.
Yeah, it takes so much time.
Yeah.
The good thing with oils is that if you don't like something, you can
You can
change
erase.
it.
Yeah, you can
within
just
a certain
grab it.
within a certain time frame. The downside with oils is the toxicity of the.
Also that. Yeah.
So in my various various places where I lived, it was really hard to breathe, and I probably got sick from it. Yeah, probably.
Permanently damaged.
Pain high.
Yeah, maybe you could say that.
Well, it's because of the solution that you use, or
Well, it's mainly the solvents you use
solvent,
to clean the
Thinner.
paint thinners, exactly, to clean. But it's also the oils themselves. They also have very strong odor to it.
still. Well,
Yeah, but I love oil paints. They're also very expensive.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you have
very
to be very cautious with what you buy. And when you choose an oil paints, they have different grades, as you might know. So
Yeah,
you can buy, it's better to buy the higher quality oil paints at the start, because the pigments, the reason why they're more expensive, those oil paints, is because they contain a lot more pigment. Whereas if you use cheaper oil paint, you get through a lot, and it actually ends up being more expensive than.
I understand. Actually, when I started painting, it was, again, as I said before, in Scotland, and I didn't have any materials. But I had, this, I wanted to create something.
Yeah.
So I went to the Poundland, you know what it is?
Of course, Poundland, yeah.
So it's a place where you can buy things for £1. So I bought, some brushes, some paints for £1, basically. Yeah, and I painted something with that. So, and it was okay, actually, surprisingly,
Yeah.
So.
And did you have an easel, like the thing you paint
Now I
on?
do. Yeah.
Oh,
actually.
cool.
Yeah, but I didn't used to. At first, it was like I spent, I don't know, maybe £5 on all the materials, like paper,
Canvas.
all of it. Yeah, canvas. Yeah, as well.
The paper and the canvas seems intimidating to me. So I used to like to paint on objects. I remember having a big apple cider bottle jug. So it's really big at the base.
Yeah.
And making it, using acrylic paints and making a peacock. So the jug part was the body, and then these beautiful colors, because acrylics, I love acrylics.
Yeah.
And then, or taking some wood and either carving it and putting stain on it, or just painting on it or something. I like doing those.
Yeah. The painting on wood has the advantage you don't have to stretch a canvas or anything like that.
And a blank piece of paper is so intimidating.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. At first, I was like really scared, but then I was like, okay, I have a lot of paper. I can waste it. Yeah, I can practice as much as I want to.
And developing a style, that's like a whole other, it's a whole other topic. Like, have you got a certain style, or would you say you're
messy?
Yeah.
Messy style.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
'Cause it takes forever.
Maybe. But I think it's different from every painting, So it depends on the mood. It depends on what I want to, capture.
Yeah.
So.
And it changes, right? I mean, if you have an intention, it doesn't necessarily come out that way, does it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but sometimes, it's like I'm so frustrated with the painting, so I just tear it.
Attack the painting.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Just yeah.
Well, a lot of famous artists did that. They would destroy paintings.
Yeah,
Like
and then you remake it. I mean, if you have strength and will to do it.
Yeah, because I've read a few biographies of artists. For instance, Francis Bacon. You know Francis Bacon?
Yeah.
Irish-British painter, and he...
It's classicism, I think, or...
It's more post... I don't know,
Bacon.
what was it again? It's not expressionism.
Postmodernist?
It's not postmodernism, no. That's after the 90s.
90s.
Well, 70s,
Oh.
90s, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Modernist, maybe.
Yeah,
not
it was
classicism,
more modern.
definitely.
We need to double check the exact movement he was from, but I completely forgot. But he would go wild and he would destroy paintings if he didn't like it.
Well, that's creative.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Well, destruction is a part of creation.
Creation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've since I've been here, I guess it was about maybe 2 summers ago, I just started getting my color crayons out, and I said, okay, I'm not a painter, but I love color crayons. They're made of wax, and I just love them, and they're very colorful. And so I just started making little childlike drawings. And it's very
Chalk drawing kind of, yeah?
yeah, just like stick figures, because that's the extent of my talent. And I thought, well, you know, it was so satisfying because I could finish it in 5 minutes. You just you don't care and you just do it. And then I would be drawing or coloring pictures of my daughter and my mother and me. And it's all about me.
Oh,
And it's just this nice. 'cause
I've done that too. Actually,
yeah, 'cause I don't have
Hold it.
pictures of them. And so I have to color
You
crayons.
visualize it.
Yeah,
then you just
yeah.
color it.
But one time I did do this beautiful drawing that I used for logos and different things. It was a ballerina, and all I did, I was just inspired. This one moment, I took a pencil and just this scrap paper, and I made this ballerina in this planche, like splits. And while I was drawing it, I felt the muscles, and I just knew how my knees felt, the calf muscles do this goes here. And then when I was done, it didn't take long, maybe an hour.
Oh, well.
And the chest, the shoulders, everything was just so beautiful. It was just one unique time in my life. And ask me to do something else, no, I couldn't do it. It was just a moment of inspiration.
Yeah, drawing anatomy is actually really difficult. It takes...
Really?
But the feeling of inside, knowing how it feels, that was what was inspiring me. Just knowing, just this mind's eye and feeling how the muscles go.
Yeah.
I don't have any kind of talent at all in drawing or painting.
Ooh, I mean, you never know. I mean, you just
Yeah,
have
you
to-
never know.
You
So
never
maybe
know.
it's in music, actually.
Maybe, yeah.
So-
I tried a couple of times when I was back in school, and my art teacher said, "All right, okay, that's enough. Just leave it off." So I
you
couldn't do
can-
that.
With drawing, it is actually a skill that you have to train. I mean, very
Definitely,
few people are just born able to draw
Mhm.
immediately. You have
Maybe
to.
even none.
Yeah,
Actually.
perhaps I would even say none.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, that reminds me. I did some modeling in art classes. So I would stand up and all these, doing the circles, and they had to do all their practices.
So you would just stand in there.
Yeah, different poses.
Posing,
Yeah.
yeah. That's interesting.
yeah. So like with learning languages, you need to train your drawing skills, and it takes forever. And I haven't drawn for a long time, so perhaps it's not as good as it used to be.
Maybe
But
you
you
guys
always-
can help me.
Well,
Just figure out.
Yeah, let's have a class.
yeah. Let's have a painting class.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I've got another question. So none of us are drug addicts, I hope.
Not lately.
But a lot of creative people take drugs and drink a lot of alcohol. Do you think that drugs and alcohol contributes to someone's creativity, or do you think that it's a symptom of some people's creativity?
I guess it's kind of,
An enhancement.
I guess,
thing. I
drug
don't know.
or alcohol consumption just breaks the limits of your creativity or imagination. You feel yourself kind of free to compose or play or draw whatever you are doing without any boundaries, I guess. So you just put whatever comes to your mind on the paper or on your instrument, whatever you're playing.
Maybe.
So
You don't
it's-
hesitate.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
not scared anymore. You
All
just
right, I got
do
it.
what you want.
Just
Yeah.
let's try it without thinking about what's gonna happen next
Yeah.
in a way.
Well, I guess there's a limit, I guess, to how many drugs you can
Yeah, I
consume.
think it would be
Yeah.
depending on the person, because I wouldn't be affected that way at all. At all.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends. Probably.
Because in a previous podcast, we talked about this chap called Keith Moon, who's this. Do you know Keith
Ooh,
Moon?
Of course.
From the the Who,
Yeah,
the
of
drummers.
course.
Yeah. Maybe you
He's
should-
great. He's a great. He was a great, talented drummer, but plus a junkie. Yeah, he was a junkie.
This guy was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I bought his biography for my dad's birthday a few years ago.
His nickname is
But
Lou.
this guy he took way too many drugs and way too much
Who
alcohol.
is he?
So there's this famous band called The Who. They were big in this. I think
The Who.
Yeah,
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Who.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
60s.
My Generation. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the best songs.
And this guy's hobby was to do lots of crazy things. One of my favorite crazy stunts of his was he would take pieces of dynamite
Exploding drum, right?
No, not even that. He would take dynamite to hotel rooms and explode the toilets in the hotels. But he was an amazing drummer.
He was very, very beyond talent. He was natural. He was natural.
But it got to the point where his drug and alcohol consumption became so destructive that one time he passed out on stage.
On the drums.
They
couldn't wake him up,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they had to get someone from the audience to continue the concert, which is terrible. So of course there is a limit as to how many. I mean, I do not condone drugs. I think it's a terrible thing to get into. But
why do you think there is this kind of connection between being creative and consuming drugs in general?
I
What do you
guess a
think?
lot of creative people just have a lot of anxiety inside them because what's the point? Why do people create things? They create things to make their life better.
Existential
Yeah.
crisis, maybe.
Yeah.
Just why I'm here, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Kind of.
You wouldn't need to create things if you didn't have somewhere or something to improve.
That and also if
Yeah.
they're touring, if the band is touring, they do have a really weird schedule and they have to use drugs to get them up and then get them down.
Yeah.
That might have something to do with it. And then maybe the power of their fame too. If you're not harnessing your limits, you just feel like you could blow up a toilet if you want to.
Yeah. It wasn't.
Like they can do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for those hotel owners. It wasn't just Keith Moon blowing up toilets. It was other rock bands who destroyed hotel rooms. I think the Rolling Stones. I believe it was the Rolling Stones. They threw televisions out the window.
Because, why did you do that? Because I can.
Yeah, because you can just
So
throw.
what will you do to me? Yeah. So what can you do?
So yeah.
It was also boost up the ego in a way. So you feel yourself like a superhero that you have no limits to do. Right, I'm the rock star or I'm the famous person.
Yeah,
so
because imagine
bring it on in a way.
Yeah, you're standing on the stage. People are like, I don't know, you're an
Throwing
idol.
panties at you.
Yeah, something like that probably. Yeah. So of course you feel like a god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
God complex.
It's kind
we can
of
say.
bad. I think it must be really bad.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of famous musicians have kind of God complex, but there are other musicians who take no drugs and have amazing success. I mean, I believe Moby. You know Moby. Do you know much about Barbara? Do you know Varia? Do you know much about Moby?
No, I
So-
know nothing about Moby.
So he's
Moby
famous.
Dick?
Not
That-
Moby Dick. No, Moby is a famous electronic DJ musician, extremely creative. Of course, you know him.
I've heard about him, but I've never listened to his works.
Porcelain.
His music is absolutely his music's absolutely stunning. If you hear some of his tracks, you'll definitely hear it, and some of our listeners, you'll definitely recognize the music. Some of our listeners definitely will have heard of Moby, but he was fascinating because he was. I wouldn't say he was a devout Christian. Maybe he was a devout Christian, but he's
religious.
he was religious, and he still nonetheless had music events in strip clubs and in places where there's debauchery and stuff like that. But he still kept true to his Christian foundation.
Okay, so he had the best of both worlds.
Yes, except he was surrounded by like debauchery. Debauchery meaning
I love that word.
I love it too. It is a great word.
Except when we say debauchery.
Oh, you said debauchery. So yeah, I guess it comes from French.
Yeah.
And it means living in a not unethical, or maybe unethical.
Off the limits, maybe.
There's some kind of chaos.
An immoral way. So indulging in vices.
Indulgence.
Indulgence
that's
in
what it
vices,
is.
exactly. For instance, alcohol or other naughty things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think he indulged in debauchery, but
But he allowed the others around him.
Yeah, and he was inspired by all the craziness around him.
Interesting.
But yeah, he's one of my, I would say role models in terms of creativity. But I also have other role models who also took a lot of drugs. For instance, do you know Jean-Michel Basquiat?
Yeah.
You know him?
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating guy. I mean, a lot of people will look at his work and say this is not talented at all. This is just children's drawing. But
that's great drawing, and I guess it was sold. One of his most famous drawing was sold like $120 million.
Oh, it's
something
insane.
In Christie's or I don't know, Sotheby's or whatever.
Long story short, Jean-Michel Basquiat was this really famous mixed race painter from New York in the 80s and 90s. And the reason why he's famous is because he bridged the gap between how people view black painters. And he really was upset with people calling him a black painter, and he wanted to be called an American painter. And he bridged the gap between, he contributed to bridging the gap. So he wanted to be known, and I recognize him as an American painter. And he painted all sorts of crazy, amazing stuff, which depicted New York and the atmosphere of New York in the 80s and the 90s. But he went wild with the drugs, especially later on in his career. And
after he met Andy Warhol,
he became very close to Andy Warhol, and they had projects together. And when Andy Warhol died, this made him extremely depressed, and he died from, I think, heroin.
He's one of the members of 27 Club.
The famous club.
Yeah, and also in this scene you had Keith Haring. Do you know Keith Haring? Yeah.
Sounds
you will see
They're
his
contemporary.
New York graffiti artist, but a lot of people will recognize Keith Haring. If you see his works, you will immediately recognize him. He draws patterns of people.
Doodle, right?
Doodles, but they're
doodles.
really famous doodles, and you'll see them and you'll recognize them immediately. And they were all part of the same scene. I think it was the Lower East Side in Manhattan. So yeah, but he died. What other famous musicians died of drugs and alcohol?
Oh, Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah,
that was in my
Van
time.
Halen, of course.
He was supposed to be, one of the best guitarists.
Guitar player.
Yeah, he was, and the one from AC/DC, but they weren't real drug addicts, I don't think, in AC/DC, the Australians. It's just one of my favorites.
Maybe they were alcoholics. I don't know.
Yeah. They're heavy drinkers.
I think they were pretty
Angus
clean.
Young.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Any other drug addicts?
Oh, so many. And
John Bonham
Amy
of
Winehouse.
John Bonham of Led Zeppelin. Jimi Hendrix.
The thing with Jean-Michel Basquiat, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain. Do you know what they have in common?
27.
Yeah, the clock
27, exactly. They all died at the age of 27. It's a really scary age. If you live past 27, you've made it.
You can live further.
Exactly. Yeah. So all three of them died from drugs at the age of 27. Kurt Cobain didn't necessarily die from drugs.
He was under
more like
influence.
depression.
He committed suicide, but I believe they found a high dose of heroin in his blood. And so guys, don't do drugs. It might give you a little bit of creativity at the start, but then you're just going to end up in the 27 club. So yeah. All right. Well, let's think. How is creativity used for evil? In what ways have?
Well, the atomic bomb, nuclear bomb always comes.
Yeah.
That's always an example of evil.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you think the person who created the atomic bomb was an evil person?
No.
Actually, yeah. Speaking of scientists, they are, I think, the most creative people at all. Yeah. Because they take kind of physics, chemistry, and they create something out of it. Yeah, it's not just, I don't know, painting, which is also cool, of course, but still.
Not something peaceful, you mean, right?
Yeah, I mean, anything. Yeah, so.
Or cloning. That's controversial too.
Great that you mentioned that. Yeah. What? I mean, would you eat a cloned animal? I mean, you're a vegetarian, so. But would you eat a cloned animal? I wouldn't.
I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
I don't know. Actually.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Dolly, right? The first,
Dolly,
the
first clone sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
is it really true? That was the other thing. Isn't there controversy around Dolly? Was she really cloned or was she
Was
not?
it kind of a hoax or something? I don't know.
I don't know,
I've
but
seen the sheep in the British Museum. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's right there. Yeah. So, and it's pretty real.
Mhm.
I mean, but who knows? Yeah, actually. Yeah.
yeah, it's true. Who can verify? How can we
Exactly,
verify
exactly.
that
You can
information? Yeah.
scan the
Yeah.
DNA by
Yeah.
yourself. So yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But if it is true, then yeah, hats off
Yeah.
to that
Mhm.
person who created cloning. By the way, hats off, good little idiom. It means that I respect this.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Oh, like tipping your hat,
Tipping,
right?
Yeah, tipping your hat. Hats off to you. That means I respect.
That's it.
I respect you for doing something. But do you say that in America?
Oh, yeah, hats off to you. I
Yeah.
Sure, it's an old thing, but
Yeah.
Mhm,
I'm
a little
sure.
bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds a little
I don't
bit
really. Hats off
Yeah, I
to
can
you.
imagine a
Yeah.
gentleman, you know.
Yes,
with
the
hat.
top hat,
Yeah.
a little tip of the hat.
Yeah. So, okay, but I don't know if cloning would be evil. I mean, maybe it
Well, it's
definitely could be
For
used.
controversial.
people,
It is,
probably,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and
So-
stem cell research
Yeah.
too,
Mhm.
making, taking the material from a fetus
Yeah.
and then injecting it in someone with a disease.
Mhm.
hmm
So that's real controversial with some people.
Yeah. Yeah,
Why the-
absolutely.
Why is it controversial?
Well, because you have to take a fetus and
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah.
If that bothers you,
Yeah.
it doesn't bother
Take
me.
lives in order to save a life in a way. Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
And then,
Yeah.
well, Adolf Hitler, pretty creative guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a painter, guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was.
no, but
Watercolor.
he was not
Yeah.
allowed in art school. So he was really considered a bad artist. And that was kind of an excuse for him to go down a different road.
Yeah.
Had they only let him in art school, maybe.
Look at this third conditional time. If
Yeah.
Adolf Hitler had
Had
been
been.
admitted to art school, perhaps the world would be a different place. That's a mix, sorry. That's a third conditional
Yeah, would be.
with the
Yeah.
second
Second one.
conditional. But
Right now, yeah.
Well, that's how we talk. We mix
Yeah.
things up as we are telling our story.
yeah. So, no, but yeah, we can mix the third conditional and the second conditional
Oh,
is,
God.
it is
Speaking
normal.
about grammar.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
But Adolf Hitler, maybe he was a little bit too creative and he tried to invade the Soviet Union and the Western countries. Yeah, a bit.
That's that same kind of thing with
Cool.
art and power, or like what
Yeah.
you're talking about with the musicians. you know.
Actually, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, the many evil people who are creative in many ways. I mean, yeah, we can
Actually,
speak
what do you think? Does misery makes people creative?
absolutely, yeah, yeah. Like we said, yeah. Usually, you create things to
Or people who are
Improve your life.
suppressed and they're trying to find that freedom, and this is the only way.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely
so.
would drive someone's creativity. Yeah,
Don't be sad, people.
a little bit of sadness is is healthy, but not too much.
Just a little bit to enhance the creativity.
Exactly. Yeah. So, favorite inventors. Oh, let's start with Thomas Edison. Who was Thomas Edison? What did he do?
Inventor of
bulb
the
guy?
light bulb and current, DC.
Yeah.
Current. Oh, yeah.
DC or AC? AC was
AC.
Tesla. No. AC was Edison. No. Alternative current is Tesla's and
think
Edison's
so.
is AC.
Yeah.
Yeah. And DC, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've read I listened to an audio book by this chap called Robert Greene. Have you heard of Robert Greene? He writes all these interesting books studying successful people and how they became successful. And I can't remember exactly which book he reviewed, or he looked at Thomas Edison and he came to a conclusion. He invented over 1,000 different things. It was absolutely amazing. And yeah, each time, inventing the light bulb took thousands and thousands of attempts. And just imagine if he hadn't undergone thousands and thousands of attempts.
Right. So we say, you have to fail 1,000 times before you can succeed or something. But Leonardo da Vinci,
Yes.
we think of him as an artist, but he was an inventor.
Yes.
With all those drawings and the anatomy.
what made him so interesting was that he stole his father's paper, and this was back in the time when paper was really expensive. So like a sheet of paper would be worth gold almost. Maybe not gold, but it was really expensive. And yeah, I read somewhere that he would go out to the forest and just draw in the forest. And yeah, Leonardo da Vinci was an absolute genius.
He had one saying that would help his success, attribute to his success. He said, just get out of bed in the morning. He said, don't pull those covers over your face. And he would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And if you can think about during Europe in the winter, it'd be probably cold and you have to make your own fire or something, but you have to get up, and that's how you become successful. You just get out of bed.
I'm interested how people got up at 5 in the morning in the old times without alarms. Did they just have roosters?
Well, yeah, the cock-a-doodle-doo, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
What about in the winter, where in Siberia
it's all frozen.
the sun comes up at 9 o'clock in the winter?
You just have to stay in bed longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who invented the alarm clock? Let us know in the comments if you. Great invention. Well, also terrible invention too, because
I try to avoid that sound.
kind of wish they didn't exist. But yeah. Okay. So Thomas Edison. What about Henry Ford? What do we know anything about him?
Assembly line, the first assembly line
Yeah.
that he put up to motion, I guess, and the first manufacturer, car manufacturer in the United States, all over the world, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because at that time they could have made, and they did make electric cars, but because of the greed of oil and making tires and all that money-making stuff, they kept the electric cars from being manufactured.
Oh, wow.
Because I remember reading about Henry Ford, you have to have rubber for the tires. So we went down to Brazil and with all those rubber plants and had to procure the tires or the rubber from this. And so it was a big, marketing
Business,
business venture, money making.
Yeah. So
Well,
other American superstars, Benjamin Franklin, he produced a lot of writing. Did he invent anything? I think he.
Well, he was a good. I think he was the one to draw the very first political cartoon. We have political cartoons, right? We can make fun of our politicians. And I think he made the very first one in regards to the American Revolution, how we should kick the Brits out.
Yeah.
So he did lots of things. He was a statesman. He traveled a lot. He spent a lot of time in Europe. He was of the Enlightenment age. And he brought that European Enlightenment and adapted it to us Americans. So we had our American Enlightenment. Of course, he signed the Declaration of Independence.
Yep.
He was a great motivator of our freedom.
Yeah, immensely creative person as well. Other, of course.
Yeah, and then you did this because he went out with a
no, I guess
a kite, right?
Yeah, kite. He had an experiment with the kite and the lightning with the key in the middle of it. I guess kind of an electrical kind of current.
Yeah, he was an inventor of some sort.
Well, I have in front of me a chart of the most innovative countries in the world. There's this index called the Global Innovation Index, and the US is number 3 because the US churns out, it produces so many products. Why is the US such a creative country? What is it about America that
abundance of the sources and the financial status, I guess. Yeah?
Probably, yeah.
Our pioneer spirit. You don't know about our pioneer spirit. Well, this is where we have these ideals of being independent, free, that we create something out of nothing. We carve our own destiny.
Rags to riches.
Yeah. That story too. We do what we want to do, and we're always trying to find a better way.
Well, coming back to what we said before, how problems generate creativity. People create things to come out of difficult situations. America, people were escaping all sorts of monarchies and all sorts of tyrannical regimes, and I guess that's why it's such a melting pot. But why do you think, or which do you think is the number one on this index?
China?
Japan.
Yeah,
It's actually China and Japan. They produce so much. They do, but they're not number one on the list.
India.
Not India.
Oh, really?
India produces a lot of
Software.
and textiles. Number one.
Sweden.
That's actually number two.
Oh, really?
Whoa.
Yes.
Because of IKEA, probably.
IKEA. Do you know what IKEA stands for? It stands for Ingvar Kamprad Eltarud Agunyard. So Ingvar Kamprad is the guy who founded IKEA. He is one of the most creative people in the world. And I worked for IKEA for a few months in a summer as a summer job before. And his story is a long story, but he started by selling matchboxes to people in his little rural community. And he went to Stockholm to buy matchboxes in bulk and sold the matchboxes for a marked up price. And from there he decided to
Matchboxes for matches.
Yeah, matches. Yeah, exactly.
Keep matches in.
Exactly. Well, I think you sold them with the matches as well. not just the matches.
Just the matches, and I need a box.
Well, you can collect the matchboxes. They look pretty. And funnily enough, my family have a collection of matchboxes. But anyway, yes, that's how he started. And he's one of the most creative people. And he passed away, I think it was in 2018, I believe, at the age of 91. But he was immensely creative, very simple person, which is what made him really interesting. He liked, well, the reason why we think of Scandinavian furniture as being all minimalist is mostly because of IKEA. So IKEA, Ingvar Kamprad, Elmtarud Agunyard. That's like, I think Agunyard's the name of the village he came from. And Elmtarud, I think it's a region. I don't know. Need to double check it. But yeah. So Sweden is number two. Extremely creative country.
What is number one?
So number one, it's a European country.
Denmark, Norway.
Denmark and Norway are also quite,
Lego.
Very good that you mentioned that. Denmark is right next to Sweden, so is Norway. They have very similar cultures. So let me
Germany then, number one.
Germany produces a lot.
Yeah.
It does, but it's actually not number one. It is a German-speaking country, though.
It's a German-speaking country.
Switzerland is number one.
Seriously?
Yeah, they invent so much.
The Swiss.
I never say.
What was that? Swiss scientists discovered like a three-angled toothbrush kind of thing. So
Swiss watch.
Swiss watches, Swiss Army knives, Swiss cheese.
What else?
Chocolate.
What else? Just food, basically. But what else did they invent?
Well, apparently but a few, I think it was 100 years ago, they eat cats. Sorry, Vari, I know. we're both cat lovers, I know, but cat is one of their national dishes. Yeah.
What?
So I don't think they invented that, but they're known for that. But maybe because they live in a very mountainous community.
Oh, God.
And they are sheltered from...
Right. If they're isolated, you have nothing to do but invent something.
And eat cats.
And eat cats. And
maybe
cheese.
Banking system, maybe.
The banking system, yeah.
Oh.
Swiss banking system. Credit Suisse.
And
one
then,
of the biggest.
And then they protect the banking system by being incognito.
Yeah.
Fascinating country because you have, I think it's 4 official state languages. You have German, French, Italian, and Romansh. Romansh is some strange language in the east of the country. Yeah, so they have all those different minds coming together, and So, and then other countries. So guess what's number 4?
England?
Yeah, UK, yeah, cool. Yeah, so...
Well, they were were number one in the industrial age.
Mhm.
London.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah,
place
the
where it all started.
revolution, yeah.
Well, who invented the telephone? Do you know?
Graham Bell.
Exactly. Well, I think it was Alexander Bell.
Alexander Bell.
Yeah, Alexander
thank
Bell.
you.
Yeah, Scottish guy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Alexander Graham Bell.
And then the radio was invented not by us; it was by the Russians, wasn't it?
Italian.
I don't know, to be honest, but probably.
There's a lot.
Let's
There's
say
a lot
it's
of
Russian.
yeah. There's a lot of controversy as to who invented what. For instance, vodka. Who invented vodka? Was it the Poles or was it the Russians? No one can really.
Also, it's very interesting, when the progress is moving and one invention appears in many countries
Yeah.
at the same time, approximately. It's like, how does it happen even?
Yeah.
It's like, some common mind, or.
Well, I guess the
Uh,
internet definitely has
But I mean, before the internet, so.
a collective
Collective mind.
mindset or
Yeah.
collective
Conscious.
telepathy.
That
Something like
as
that.
science is developing and shared, in this kind of limited way.
Like one direction, probably.
Well, coming back to that, it's interesting. So maybe, like, you mean after the Enlightenment, perhaps that different countries would have inventions at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, I know, for instance, in the Second World War, of course, one country would have submarines and another country would need to make submarines. But
It was more like a race.
yeah, and they had.
Oh yeah, well that competition is something that really
Yeah.
drives creativity. Yeah,
Actually-
because a boss will say you will have to produce this.
Actually, it's a good question if it does, because for me, it's probably, I don't know, actually.
Well, it just depends if you're a competitive person. I'm not, so I don't want to compete with something. I want my creativity just to come organically.
It depends, for example, I was doing athletics at school, like running, racing, all stuff. There, I was really competitive. But at painting, when I paint and I see somebody is painting much, much better, it's kind of inspiring, but also kind of, okay, kind of disappointing a little bit.
So that means you are competitive because you're comparing yourself, because that's what competition is, even if you're saying it in a negative way. So you have to not let that get you down. Keep painting.
I will anyway. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, competition definitely must spur on creativity. It drives creativity in many ways. Yeah.
What about the reverse engineering?
Oh, that's called stealing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's also it's kind of considered kind of competition, but it's not competition, as you said. It's kind of stealing and espionage and everything.
Well, some countries do it really well. For instance, Japan. I mean, they do invent things like the Japanese toilet seat. It's absolutely
they're
incredible.
great.
Yeah, I've never used. I'm quite scared of them, to be honest.
They're good. They're good. Yeah.
So they do invent a lot of things, but
AC, I guess.
But usually the Japanese, they take things that are already invented, they make them even better. For instance, televisions and
Computers, laptops,
cars. And the Chinese do that too as well, to an extent.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. The Chinese were, I guess, heavily influenced by the Japanese in many ways, and the Japanese influenced by the Chinese too. Yeah. What came to mind? I was thinking about Peter the Great. So he obviously founded St. Petersburg.
Oh, yeah.
He went all over Europe. And was
So
really,
he picked up the ideas there, for military, for the army,
yeah,
basically for the architecture as well.
yeah,
Just look at St. Petersburg. It looks like Venice.
yeah.
Yeah.
This
You would
is amazing.
invite Europeans into Russia to say, can you teach us this, teach us that?
Exactly. Like
And-
architects again.
And he was a shipbuilder. He himself
yeah.
put himself as a first mate or something and learned it from the
something like that.
beginning. But he introduced 100 words into the Russian dictionary of foreign words,
Yeah.
Western
yeah.
words, I should say.
Yeah.
We still use them. Yeah.
So yeah, Peter the Great definitely was an impetus for production in Russia. Like he, which is why he's one of the greatest
And
leaders.
he
Yeah,
was
He
very
actually-
tall and intimidating. So I think he got his
Like
way.
about 2 meters tall, or something. Yeah. So he just scared people to do things. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, almost like a lot comes down to Peter the Great, and yeah. So he brought a lot. Like you said, he brought people from other countries, like Germans. Loads of Germans
Yeah.
are here because of
Definitely.
Peter the Great, and And is the reason, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, well, the reason why you call Germans in Russian Niemiecki is because in English, niemoi means like you don't have a voice.
Wow.
And like,
Yeah, I read the story why it's like this because, again, we have Germany, it's like, and we have another adjective for like German people in Russian, which is different, And I read the story because we used to call like all foreigners like this, it's like, maybe because, they don't speak Russian and we consider them, like not being able to speak, Maybe something like that,
It's funny because I think the word in English is dumb, but not as in like dumb as in you're an idiot, stupid, dumb as in you can't use your voice. And it's really funny how in Russian they just...
like kind of...
Yeah.
It's the attitude to other, I don't know, countries.
But we
other
all
people,
have that attitude,
Yeah, definitely.
We all have that attitude.
Yeah, to extent.
To foreigners.
Yeah, especially big countries, I think.
Yeah. But what other countries are really good at being innovative? I was going to say South Korea.
South Korea. Yeah.
Oh, right. Technology. Yeah, they had a big boom. And competition, too. They want to be in the market.
Yeah, it's really respectable, their boom. They used to be one of the poorest countries in Asia, and then all of a sudden they became...
After 70s.
One of the most prosperous countries in Asia.
Yeah, it's a competition between countries where countries don't want to be seen as an undeveloped country. They want to be democratic. They want to have some really strong marketing, international trade, so that they can be, up with everybody else.
Yeah. So South Korea. Yeah, South Korea creates so much. And then also we have on the list we have the Netherlands. This is also one of my favorite countries as well. They have produced so much, particularly in the area of shipbuilding.
Shipyard.
Yeah, shipping and engineering and all sorts of stuff like that. So well, let's think about your time at school. Were you creative writers at school?
I enjoyed it a lot. Actually. Yeah, because I read a lot, so it was easy for me to write. So, and I was praised for that, maybe too much, even by the teachers. They're like, oh, I still remember. It was like the 11th grade. And the teacher was actually reading aloud my essay, like to all the class. And I was like so ashamed. I was like, oh God, why do you do that? And everybody was like, okay, that's good. But everybody was also like, okay, she's showing off, or something.
So do you think too much praise can destroy creativity?
It depends on the person, I think. So then for me, probably it was a bit too much. It was pleasant, of course, but in a way it was kind of, okay.
I'm just trying to imagine this absolutely stunning, that's amazing work.
And I'm like, oh God, come on. Because it's also perceived, like a little bit nerdy, to read a lot. At least it used to be like that. Yeah, and I read really a lot. So, and I was kind of a little bit shy because of that, I would say, yeah. So, and yeah, probably. But it depends on the person, definitely.
Yeah. Or were you a creative writer at school?
No, I had lessons like a critical theory and critical writing at the university, but I wasn't that much involved in the writing process or something. But I read a lot, as Natalya said, so not writing particularly.
And do you think the education systems in the West, at least, do you think they harness creativity? Do you think they support creativity?
I guess so, with the lessons like critical thinking, critical writing, or like conversation lessons that you can share your ideas with other people. But yeah, why not?
Well, I had plenty of art lessons at school, which was really cool. But the art teacher didn't do anything. They would just stand there and like with Natalie.
Easy job.
That's amazing.
Well, my experience with art as a little kid, wasn't necessarily positive. I had observed purple leaves. These are plum trees, and the leaves are literally purple. And so I drew a tree in art class when I was a little girl with purple leaves. And the teacher, trees our trees' leaves are green. I said, no, there are trees that have purple. And she, very condescendingly. And I thought, so I didn't get a good grade on it. I was just a little girl, like 8 years old. And then I drew, she gave us a shape of a inverted V. So 2 legs and an apex at the top. And she and there are 2 on the paper. And so she expected us all to be very creative and decorate a teepee, an Indian teepee. But I made it into a swing set. I just drew a bar over and drew some swings, which I think is creative. It's different from everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a bad grade. Where are the colors? Blah, blah, blah.
She discouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. The way art is taught in the West, to be honest, I don't really like it so much. They just stand there and just praise everything. And whereas I've witnessed some art schools in St. Petersburg, do you know the Ilya Repin art school? They really teach you classic drawing skills. And I guess it's on one hand, it does kind of suppress creativity, but on the other hand, it gives you the skills that you
You need the base,
The
right?
base.
The foundation.
Yeah.
that you need to succeed. Yeah.
It's pretty harsh, I would say. So they don't praise much.
Yeah, good.
They're just, it's not good enough. You're not going to do anything. So you're worthless. Just go away.
I think it's very, very good to do that. Yeah, because then you dig it up from your inside. Say, no,
it depends on the person.
I
again,
have
think.
something.
Yeah.
I want to say something. It could destroy a weaker person, but it could also motivate someone who might have I'll show you attitude, which I do. I have that because I've had a lot of negativity because of ballet. I'll show you. And it makes me work really hard.
Yeah, speaking of that, I used to do ballet like in elementary school when I was like 7 till I was 11, something like that. So and the teacher was really harsh. I think it's really common in ballet. Yeah, they just
You can do it. Just
no. The opposite.
The opposite one. Okay.
Yeah. So
motivating in a way.
Not motivating.
No, I mean, like, not motivating at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just yell at you. They nearly beat you.
Oh my.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. So.
You dance like a fat cow. you have less
Something like
talent as the jackhammer outside the window. Things like that.
Exactly. So for you, it was motivating, actually.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
The opposite effect.
Whoa. Okay, interesting.
Oh, yeah. Well, in the East, in China, I wouldn't say that they harness creativity, but they produce very capable, or students who are very capable of working with mathematics and with, very strict instruction. But
music as well.
Yeah, they're amazing performers. I don't know about composers. I don't know about music that comes out of China.
Actually, but just players. Yeah,
Players,
performers. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, like piano or pianists and
Or violinists. When SMA. Yeah. One of them.
Actually.
all the best come out of China and that whole region. Yeah. Well, let's wrap things up. So let's finish off with a question. So if you could think of a device that would make someone's lives better, or that would make our lives better, let us know. What do you think would make our lives better?
Lots of paints, lots of colored crayons, material for you to do what you need to do, tools.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the devices that we are
What
using
device?
right
yeah,
now?
What device?
Smartphones?
No, what device could you create?
Huh.
What do we need to make our lives better?
You mean like the
Portable drum
society
sets.
in general?
Yeah, could you invent something
No, I couldn't.
Whoa.
right now?
There's too much
That's a
stuff
good
out
question,
there.
but I mean, it needs a lot of thinking probably,
Maybe cans that can actually open, because when you try to open up a package, I get the scissors out, I get the hammer out, trying to get into a package.
Yes, a tin can opener, you mean?
Well, no, they're
A can
no,
opener.
you have this little can and you flip the thing, and then you have to have pliers to roll it back.
Yeah.
And then you have to have someone very strong to take it off, and then all the food plops out. So you just need something easier to open up a can.
It's very
Yeah.
specific. Did you have bad experience with that?
Yes, I have lots of opening up a package. I look at a package, I go, oh no, I've got to get into that spaghetti package. How am I going to do it?
Yeah, maybe I would invent a better can opener because can openers, to be honest, are really crap in general. I mean,
Well, I'm not using a can opener. I'm talking about using pliers.
yeah,
The manual one.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I'm doing this way, not this way. I'm taking pliers and having to
rip
roll
open.
the can lid back because they have a little flippy flip. And that's, oh, look, for your convenience, a flippy flip. Oh, look at me. But I can't. And so that's what I mean. The little flippy flip needs
I
to
see.
be
I
better.
guess.
yeah. No, I've had, but speaking of cans, I've had so many traumatic experiences with can openers.
And you're a man. You should be able to get into a can.
No, I just use a knife.
Or a screwdriver.
I just make a big X in the middle.
Okay, you and I are the same.
And then we get the pliers.
yeah, the
and then-
pliers,
or
whatever
just your
it takes.
fingers or whatever.
Whatever it takes.
Cans are dangerous.
It is, yeah,
Be
they're
careful.
sharp.
They can be really sharp. And yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe I'd invent another Japanese toilet or something. Or, Okay, guys. Well, let us know in the comments section if you have a great invention, and yeah, maybe we can take your ideas and make a lot of money. But practice your English in the comment section. We have a special, comment section for our podcast. So, and you can find more information about this comment section on our social media platforms. So let us know what device you would invent. So that's it for today, guys. Also, be sure to check out our website, which is www.bigappleschool.com, where you can find more information about the courses we offer. And you can also listen to other interesting podcasts and read up about grammar and other English-related material. So, guys, thank you. We'll see you next time.
See you.
See ya.
Bye for now.